Hello everybody, and welcome to my sprite stacking program, HyperSprite. This is beta 1.0, and this video is going to be a preview of what is here so far, and you can have an idea of how the program works. So when you boot up HyperSprite, this is the first thing you see. On the top, we have a top bar with File, Create, Edit, About, yada yada yada. We have an attribute editor on the left, kind of similar to how it is in Maya, where you can change the attributes of a layer. And on the right, obviously, there's a layer section, which is half of the point of this program. And we also have the timeline, which allows you to basically play around with the angle of the sprites and how they turn, which is again a very big part of the program itself. So to start off, you have nothing. You need to create a layer. And there are two types of layers, which I'll show you in this Create tab. So if you click on the Create tab, we have a dynamic sprite and a static sprite. The dynamic sprite is a sprite that angles and changes directions with the timeline, so something that actually moves. A static, like the name implies, is a sprite that doesn't turn at all. It's just an image. Now, I was very skeptical while adding this because it was the complete opposite of what the program was doing, which is turning sprites. But maybe you can find a use for it and you can prove me wrong. So when I click dynamic sprite, I get this square, which if you use Click Team Fusion, which is the engine that I've used, and you can see that in the About section here as well, then you know that this is a very cursed image because it's the normal active object, but a square. Anyway, so when you click on Create and click on Dynamic, you get dynamic sprites, which, like I said, with the timeline, it turns like this and gives a pretty cool 3D effect when stacked together, which is the whole point of this program. Now you can click on this play button and it will actually play this 360-degree turning animation, and it even loops, so you don't have to always get it to the end and then try to drag it to the left area here, so it always loops. And if I were to add a static one, let's add another dynamic one to show you, it doesn't move, which now it looks like a little green hamburger. So now that we have these sprites, we cannot just have them being these green blocks. I mean, you can make green blocks, there's nothing wrong with green blocks, but let's just delete these with the delete key, and let's create a new one here. So now we want to change the image for this. So we can do this two ways, actually three ways. We can go to the edit button and then import an image that will replace this. Or we can just press import on the attribute editor, or my favorite is just pressing O when you select the layer. Now be sure to always select the layer before you do any kind of changes that I'll explain in a moment, because if you don't, then these effects will not apply to any layer at all. So I'm going to press O, which will open up something that I'm not sure if you see it, is my files, and from here I will just choose something like this. So this is an image from my computer, and it will automatically replace it. So I'm going to add two more sprites here, and I'm going to just change them all to the same thing from my computer. Like so. There it is. Now, since you can tell what side is what, I think this is a perfect time to show the flipping tool. If you go to edit, you have two options outside of the importing part. We have flip horizontally and vertically. And if you use any kind of image editing software or any phone at all, you know what these are. If I flip horizontally, it will flip it horizontally. If I flip it vertically, it will do it the same way on vertical axis. And this could be useful if you have very big and specifically detailed stuff, so that you don't have to always flip them in the image editors. But it's a nice addition. You can also change the anchor point. The anchor point is the center point where the object turns. This also applies to static objects, but it matters way more when it comes to the dynamic sprites. So if I were to click on these, it will change the anchor point of the object. And now when I press play, as you can see, it changes the anchor point. The anchor points also have their own shortcut, which is the numpad keys. Make sure that your num lock is on or off. I'm not really sure how that works, but just have them to be numbers. And once you do that, then you will have quick access to anchor points without touching a single thing in the attribute editor. You can also press space for the timeline, which is a very nice shortcut that every single program uses, so it only makes sense that I add it too. Now, let's make something that actually looks kind of decent. I tried to make some assets which represent layers of boat, like layers of a boat, so we can make a boat. So I'm going to create around 10 of these because I have 10 layers. There we go. And let's get started. So I'm going to open up my file here, and you're going to see slowly but surely a weird boat. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can do that, we already chose that one. What am I doing? And we can delete this, to be honest. And this is a very weird boat. So with every single sprite looking a bit different, then we have this nice little boat. So since these all are turning, I can also change their anchor points if I am not really comfortable with where one of their position is. This only really works well with bigger sprites, but the option is always there. And you know what? I like this boat. It's a really nice boat. We can, like I said, we can always use the other tools like flipping and so on and so forth. Like that. It's just fun to play around with. It's really fun to play around. So let's say that I'm happy with this. I'm like, yes, this is a great boat, which it really isn't. So what I will do is first, I'm gonna get rid of the grid, because if I don't, then it will save with the grid. The grid is just there for adding to the illusion, and it helps to give an idea of how this program works. And to do that, I'll just press on the show grid button, which will get rid of the grid. Or I can just press G, which does the exact same thing. So now that I'm happy with the result I have, I'm like, yes, this is a good boat. I'm going to now move the timeline to an angle that I like. Let's say, like, I don't want to go with these specific like 90 degree or 180 degree ones. Those are boring. I'm gonna go with an angle like this. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now we have two options to save. We have new project, which gets rid of everything. It doesn't come up with a warning, so watch out. I hope to add one later. I have save to image and clipboard. Save to image basically saves the result and this cyan rectangle here as an image on your computer wherever you want. Or you can just copy it to your clipboard, and when you click on the clipboard, it will save the result to your Control-C, you know, the clipboard area, and then you can paste it wherever you want instead of always making new files, which is a nice addition in my opinion. And that's about it. That's really it. This is a very basic program, and it doesn't really do something revolutionary. This technique has been done for years. But I wanted a very accessible, easy to understand version of this, because there's so many of these programs that look very intimidating and hard to understand, even though they do simple things like this. So I wanted to show that you can make your programs look aesthetically pleasing while also being functionally good. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to release the public beta in a week or two. I want to give some time to beta testers to give me feedback on how the program works, because they want to really use this for their games, and I want to polish up this tool so that they can make really good results with this set tool. And I hope to see you on the next one. Have a good day.